Episode 125, weighing in with Travis Hartman. I am B Money, the producer. That over there is the talent. Weekend Trav. We got to jump right into this because this is your boy. We're talking Terence Bud Crawford now taking on Errol Spence Jr. this July 29th, Las Vegas, T-Mobile Arena. PBC brings us Crawford versus Spence Jr. It's going to be on Showtime pay-per-view. Woo!
You can't tell me that the first half of this year hasn't been one of the best years ever of boxing matches. Like, come on, it's been amazing. I think that it's finally happening. Yes, the Terence Crawford versus Errol Spence. We've done the show for 3 years, and I think for 2 of those years, we've been talking about this fight should be happening. And guess what? It finally is happening. And you want to know why it's happening? Terence Crawford's getting credit. He left his promotion company. Bob Arum probably was holding it up, but I also think Errol Spence's team was holding it up too because Terence Crawford now has been away from Bob Arum. I think this coming October will be a whole year that he's been away from him. And he's already had another fight. He had an interim fight, just like a warm-up fight, and was still trying to make that Errol Spence fight. It didn't get made until it finally happened. I think both fighters came together and were just like, you know what? Let's freaking fight. The fans want it. I want it. Let's do it.
Beautiful time, too, because that's kind of, we get that summer lull. We don't know what's coming up in that, month 6 through 9, really. I know we have Teofimo Lopez in there somewhere as well. Maybe that's June. Yeah. But this, I think, calendar-wise fits perfectly because 2023, holy moly, we're having these massive fights put on, right? So we're talking, we had just recently Haney and Lomachenko, which we've talked about, the robbery that was. We were talking Ryan Garcia, Tank Davis.
That just all happened, too.
You know, we're going to have, not that this is a major fight, but Teofimo Lopez taking on Josh Taylor coming up.
That's a pretty big fight,
It's a big fight, but this is the one. This is the coup de grace, the creme de la creme. Terence Crawford, Errol Spence Jr. Frickin' finally, but as we always say, folks, it's not a fight till they both get through the ropes, right?
This is true. They both signed, but it's boxing. Crazier things have happened. But what I think is kind of cool is I can't remember in the past a blockbuster fight happening in July. Usually the blockbuster fights are like the first half of the year or the first part of the quarter, and then May, Cinco de Mayo, there's a big fight, and then it's usually September and then December. So the fact that it's coming in July, I think is kind of cool because that means that we're still bracing ourselves for a big September blockbuster fight, which is going to happen. I don't know who's going to be, but that slot is still open. Well, this is July.
I could be wrong, but this is almost a throwback to what years ago people were anticipating, like a Manny Pacquiao taking on Floyd Money Mayweather, which I think was also in July, if I'm not mistaken, because I'm pretty sure I was at a Daytona race in July, and it was the same night, etc. I could be completely wrong, but this is one of those build-up fights that we've been waiting for. These two guys have made it very clear that they want each other. They're both claiming that one's ducking who.
May, by the way, I'm going to guess, but
okay. One's ducking one and the other's ducking the other. So finally it's going to come to fruition, we think, folks. July 29th, Las Vegas, Nevada, T-Mobile Arena. It's going to be on Showtime pay-per-view. It's going to be worth your money. Trust me on this one. Weekend Trav, this is way too early, so we're not throwing predictions out. But what we're going to say is the only prediction we're going to give to you as fans and as listeners of our program, hold on to your butts.
Hold on to your butts. What is this? Oh, I'm not following that up.
Come on.
I want to say so much stupid stuff.
Okay.
So Manny Pacquiao was in May. That was Cinco de Mayo weekend.
Oh, really?
Because that's when Mayweather always fights. Mayweather, for the last, 3 or 4 years of his career, he fought Cinco de Mayo weekend,
there you
September.
Go.
Cinco de Mayo weekend, September. Cinco de Mayo weekend, September. I said that kind of weird. But, yes, most big fights, that's because most of Mayweather was Cinco de Mayo weekend, which was in May, and then September, and then December are big fights too because I believe Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder fought in a December one. And then the first half of the year, I don't know whether it's the end of January. Somewhere in January, there's big blockbuster fights as well. That's kind of like, I don't know why they do that. There's probably some kind of reason business-wise why that happens that way, but that's usually when big fights are. So the fact this fight's taking place in July, it's kind of cool to me because that means that we still have another massive big fight that will happen in September.
Yeah.
That's usually a big day.
No, I love it. I think this is a good time of year for it because it's kind of in the middle of all the sports other than baseball are kind of off at that point, right? I think basketball's done by then. Football obviously hasn't gotten going yet. WNBA might be. I think they'll be around like kind of title season for them around then. So I mean, they have to compete with that.
I think they're playing right now, aren't they?
I think so.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, maybe.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I gotta check. So Weekend Trav, that's a big fight. We have plenty of time. We're gonna talk about it, over the next 2 months now that we have. Weekend Trav, let's switch gears to the local scene, which this isn't really the local scene. It was in our backyard, but this was a nationally televised deal. It was on DAZN. Globally televised. And so MVP and Box Lab put together this Most Valuable Prospects series show here in Orlando this past Friday. Weekend Trav, I was still on vacation. I was coming back from vacation that day, and you were at the show. A bunch of friends of ours were there as well. Give the folks at home a little bit of a rundown of the show and make me feel even worse that I wasn't there.
See, that's what I'm trying not to do, because if I go full in on this, you're going to feel terrible for not being there. And you were on vacation, so it wasn't like you chose not to be there, okay? This was planned for sure. And I just got lucky that I was in town, because a couple weeks ago they had a show I had to miss as well. But holy crap, B-Money. Talk about hold your butt.
Let's go through
Talk about hold your butt.
Before the action, run us through the glitz and glamour of it, people that were there, the production, everything.
Listen, this was in our backyard at the Carib Royale Hotel, where Box Lab has done, I think, all of their fights that we've been a part of, at least, and watched the last couple of years. The who's who were there. I mean, talk about upcoming prospects. There was a bunch of prospects there, but also, I will happily say, probably one of the greatest women boxers of all time was there. Amanda Serrano. She's coupling with Jake Paul to do this Most Valuable Prospects, which is part of the promotion company, Most Valuable Promotions. So Amanda Serrano was there. Jake Paul was there. I'm going to give Jake Paul some credit, okay? We give him a lot of crap, right? Jake Paul, the first fight was at 6:30, right?
He was sitting.
He was there.
Yeah.
And he was there till the last fight. And the last fight didn't get over till about 11:30. So anybody wants to talk crap, this guy is not bad for boxing. Yeah. Okay? Everybody keeps telling me he's bad for boxing. I don't believe he is, and I actually believe he has a genuine love and passion for boxing. I really believe that, and he was there. I couldn't believe it. I showed up 2 fights late to the fights, and Jake Paul was already there, and I was like, wow, now I feel like a horse's ass. I'm the real boxing guy here, right? And I pulled that off, and I showed up, and Jake Paul was there. So, good for Jake Paul. Jake Paul, Amanda Serrano, ringside. Then I love Box Lab because they take care of us at Weighing In with Travis. They really do. You guys really take care of us, and we appreciate you guys. And just like I told Eric, I said, Eric, he thanked us for, the shout-outs, and I was like, Eric, we keep it real. If your shows weren't good, I'm sorry, I would say they weren't good. They've been great, and you guys take care of us. Not only because you take care of us, but the show delivers. Yeah. And this show delivered because our table, we were sitting right beside Fat Joe. And I'm not fat.
He's not really fat anymore. Yeah.
He's not. Yeah. And it's so funny because when the guys at the table walked up to him and said, "Hey, Mr. Joe," and I was like, "It's not Fat Joe," because it's like they're making fun of him. He's like, that's his rap name. His name on Instagram is Fat Joe. So Fat Joe was sitting next to us. Ken Shamrock was sitting next to us.
The world's most dangerous man. Insane. Former Intercontinental Champion in the WWF and UFC alum.
Mind blown. And we're literally right beside them. They were right beside us. We were in the who's who, man. I'm just saying, Weighing In with Travis Harm, we were in the who's who there at that table.
Don't forget.
It was pretty awesome.
Your boy.
So, up-and-coming, undefeated guy who just signed with DAZN. Yeah. Edgar Berlanga. Yeah. The Puerto Rican future. They want him to be the superstar. I don't know if he's there yet. I like him, though.
Guy that could sell.
I do like him.
A guy that could sell out Madison Square Garden.
He's fighting there again.
Yet, from what I hear, Lopez and Josh Taylor are having a tough time selling tickets to their event in New York.
It's the Puerto Rican thing. I think it's Puerto Rican.
Must be a female, isn't he? Something.
I don't know. I think he's. I don't.
It doesn't matter. But Edgar Berlanga.
He sells, and he sold last time.
Yep.
He also bit somebody, got fined, turned a lot of people off. But I think it's been long enough now. People have
bite out of the Big Apple.
Yeah. He took a bite out of the Big Apple. He really did. But I heard that they're almost sold out of his fight in June. He's fighting in June in the Madison Square Garden. I think it's during the Puerto Rican Day Parade.
Smart.
It's that weekend.
Smart planning.
It is. But, nice guy. Okay? Mm-hmm. I never talked crap on this show. I just thought that he was overrated. He was overrated. And that's not talking crap. And that's probably not his fault either. That's more of the media's fault that bought into that. But I didn't think he was at 168. I just didn't think he had what it took. Okay? I do like him. He's a nice guy. We had a chat. I even chatted with his dad. Edgar
Wow.
Berlanga Senior.
Look at that.
Great guy.
I
We
knew-
exchanged digits.
I knew one day Week and Trav would come over to Team Berlanga. I knew it.
As a person, I like him. I
knew it.
I think he's a nice person.
Yeah. Now we just gotta get you on the Nova train with Abraham Nova. I think you're gonna come over to my side too.
You know what's funny? The funny story about it is I was wearing my glasses there.
Yeah.
And Berlanga was over on our side, and Josh was like, Trav, take a picture of him. I was like, okay. So I took a picture with him, and we started chatting back and forth. And he was like, you're a boxer? And I was just like, yeah, man, I know it. He goes, I thought you were a math teacher. I'm not exaggerating. I hope we have him on the show one day because he said he would come. And he said he thought you were a math teacher. And I was like, no, man. I was like, actually, I fought Terence Crawford. I fought Keith Thurman. I mean, I fought the who's who of the welterweight division in professional boxing. Even in the amateurs, I fought the best out there, too.
Yeah.
Nonito Donaire, all those guys. And he was just like, I believe you, man. He's like, but wow. He's like, that's pretty impressive, man, because you don't look like a fighter. And I took it as a compliment, to be fair, at the end, because most guys that have been fighting for as long as I've been fighting.
They look like Ken Shamrock.
Exactly, and that's why I didn't recognize Ken Shamrock. I apologize for that. I really didn't recognize Ken Shamrock. I knew he was somebody. He had glasses on, and he's a little bit older. Nose is pushed over. I should have knew he was a fighter. I thought he was an actor.
It's good. I wasn't there. I would have marked out because Ken Shamrock was there. As much as I love the boxing guys, you start pulling on my childhood heartstrings, and you start seeing those old names like a Ken Shamrock and other wrestling type aficionados.
So there were some WWE guys at Fat Joe's table as well. I don't watch the WWE, no offense, I don't, but there's a couple guys there too that I think are pretty big guys.
Well, they do a lot in Orlando because they have a training facility here. So a lot of the guys live locally, but they travel all the time. So if they're in town, obviously they're going to hang out with Fat Joe. Who wouldn't?
So I'm not trying to miss out on anybody. I believe there was. Oh no, I know another one.
I almost so I saw some of these posts weekend, Trav, as I'm out in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean waiting to get back.
On us.
I was taking a look. I'm like, wow, he threw it down and he called Amanda Serrano the GOAT.
Yep.
Interesting.
Yep.
There's a lot of other names I might want to throw into that conversation, but okay.
I think she's like a seven division world champion.
True. Yeah.
7 different divisions.
I trust me, I wouldn't put Clarissa Shields in that conversation.
Appreciate
I
mean, listen, I did throw it down, and she's also very nice too. But
yeah,
I don't know, man. She's done pretty phenomenal what she's done, and she did all of this. She paved the way also for a lot of the girls that are coming up now, like the Clarissa Shields, like all those people. Amanda Serrano's been around. She's got 40-something pro fights. She's been around for a hot minute.
But not only that,
just now getting that respect.
But not only that, culturally, she's also been a bridge for the Puerto Rican community
100%.
into professional, legit boxing, right? Because it's been dominated by Dominicans, Mexicans for so long. Yeah, but you're starting to see more of that Puerto Rican flag hang high. I mean, obviously, we know what's his face was big time back in your day.
Miguel Cotto,
yeah.
Felix Trinidad.
But other than that,
there were singles. There wasn't a big
you don't get a
crop.
lot.
Yeah.
There's now they're starting to see a deep crop of that, and especially
Zayas, you got Edgar Berlanga.
Bingo. Was Zayas there?
He wasn't there.
Oh my gosh!
I know you would have.
Thank God.
Lost it.
Yeah, because
so luckily you would have lost it.
I'm having the FOMO. The kids call that FOMO. Fear of missing out?
It is. Yep.
Fear of whatever. Yep. Okay. Yeah, that's me.
Yeah.
That's me.
So another great that was there that I actually have a story about this guy, and now I've changed my mind a little bit. But Antonio Tarver was there. Antonio Tarver knocked out my favorite person of all time. He was my first favorite. I know I've said this multiple times. Roy Jones Jr. was my first favorite professional boxer when I was like of age to remember and watch boxing.
Yeah.
He was my first favorite boxer. He was so dominant, so amazing. When Antonio Tarver knocked out Roy Jones, I felt like I'd just been broken up with, and my heart was crushed. Right. So, even rewind a little further back. Antonio Tarver, when I was 13 years old, I was at the National PAL, which is the National Police Athletic League tournament in Florida. He was still amateur at the time. He was on the Olympic team. I came up to him and wanted to take a picture with him. I'm 13. He wanted to charge me like $10, $15. I was like, what? What? This is like, we're talking about 1998.
Yeah.
Okay? Trav's 13. I don't have any money. I'm just a little kid at a tournament, and he's not even pro. He was in the Olympics. He was amateur still, which is a phenomenal feat. I never made the Olympics, so I'm not taking anything from that. He wanted to charge me, and I was like, I don't. He's like, sorry. I didn't want an autograph. I just wanted a picture real quick. That was it. And walked off. Never forgot it. Then I fought, when he fought Bernard Hopkins on HBO pay-per-view. It was my first big-time fight. I was one of the television portions of the HBO pay-per-views. We went to the press conferences, the same, all of that. And He didn't know who I was. He didn't know that I was that little kid, but once he knew that I was like fighting on the same stage as him, he was so nice to my whole family, and it made me even more mad though. I was 22 years old, 21 years old, maybe even more mad. I was like, I hate you. Walked off. I didn't even care. My parents and them were like talking to him, and I'm like, I hate him. Screw off. I got to talk to him at these fights. I actually sat away from everybody because we were in the VIP section, you know, on one side where you can't get in there. I sat over there. I got a cool story about a security guard for you too. But so we go over.
Our boys, were they there?
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
But one of the good ones.
Okay.
So I'm sitting over talking to Antonio Tarver. We're just shooting the breeze, and I'm like, dude, I fought on your undercard. I never told him the story, but I'm gonna tell him the story one time, maybe on air. But I was like, hey, I fought on the undercard when you fought Bernard Hopkins. I fought Jorge Paez Jr. He was like, man, that was a long time ago. I said, yeah, 2006. It's been a little bit. He's like, yeah, but you look good, man. And I was like, you do too, bro. So we were, we exchanged the niceties, whatever. But then we started talking boxing, and he's got a gym over in Tampa.
Mm-hmm.
He informed me that he's from Orlando. That's where he was from. And I said, what? I thought you were Tampa. He's no, I live over there now. He's like, and that's where I have a gym.
Yeah.
And I was like, I thought you were a Tampa guy. He's like, no, I'm an Orlando guy. We started talking about our gym. He's like, I'll come by the gym, man. He gives me his phone. He goes, put your phone number and put your name in, and I'll call you right now. He goes, but we got to link up. I'm going to come over to your gym.
Very cool.
Antonio Tarver, you told me you'd come to the gym. I love it. I hope you do. I also hope that you can come on our podcast one day and we can promote a show, all of that stuff. But I got to know him. I appreciated him. We started talking boxing. So I softened my stance on him a little bit.
Gotcha.
That's maturity, B-Money.
Yeah.
That's maturity.
That little boy thought out inside of your heart.
That's maturity.
Got
you know
it.
what? I'm an old soul.
You're an old soul. High ride. That's what we're drinking today, folks. If you didn't catch our Bourbon Lounge segment, we are drinking Old Soul High Rye, and that's from Mississippi. We never had anything from Mississippi.
Oldest distillery in Mississippi. Yeah. We won't go into detail here. Check out our podcast.
One of my favorite Tarver fights was in an exhibition fight when he took on old Rocky Balboa in the exhibition. Do you remember that fight?
He did the movie.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. It was a joke.
So the funny part about that is he actually was filming the movie when I fought.
Oh, really? Is that old? Gosh, we're getting old,
2006.
Buddy. We're getting old.
Yeah, he actually, and that's where he claims, and he might be right, that he had to go up in weight to film that movie.
He did.
Went down in weight to fight Bernard Hopkins.
Yeah.
So I think it might have affected him a little bit because Bernard did beat him.
Well, Weekend Trav.
Long story short, that was just the superstars that were there. Don't forget my table, too. We had some big-time people there, too, all of our friends. But it was pretty fun. But that's not even talking about the fights that were properly well-matched, the TV fights. We're not talking about the undercard fights. But the TV fights were very well-matched. It was a very good professional boxing card. And it looked like a sold-out arena. It was completely, that's impressive because they had a fight there 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
That's impressive. That in 2 weeks, they were able to still pull in that crowd. Which
It's
is
tough.
Awesome.
It's tough on the local shows to keep the crowd there the whole time, just because usually they're there for their person, and once their fight's over, they bolt. So that's good. That's good.
It didn't happen here. They were all there.
Give the audience a couple minute just rundown on the fights, the fight quality, anything specific you want to mention about any of the main televised fights.
The TV portion of the fights, I have a boy that I don't really know him because I haven't lived in Missouri in 11 years, but Jamar Pemberton, he's a Missouri native kid. He was undefeated 4-0, taking on another undefeated guy, 5-0, Bryce Henry. Pemberton went down, I think, in the first or second round. Really good shot.
Yeah, it was.
But roared back and lost a very close decision, 37-38 on all three judges' scorecards, which means that knockdown lost him the fight, and it did. But Bryce Henry is phenomenal. I think Bryce Henry was signed by Jake Paul's promotion company, and Jamar Pemberton is signed by BoxUp. So it was a very good, well-competitive fight. That's what I like to see. Promoters putting their best guys against each other and figuring out the cream rises to the top, right? And that's what they're trying to do. And I like it. But also, this is not a major setback for Jamar Pemberton.
No.
Because this is what I love about boxing right now. One loss doesn't put you aside now. One loss sets you back, yes, but it doesn't throw you away. Back in the day, it used to throw you away. You lost once, okay, yeah, we're done. We don't need to see you. Nowadays, the best are still fighting the best, even with one loss, and I love that. So there was that fight. There were so many good fights. The heavyweight fight, Lorenzo Medina versus Angel Napoles, was super entertaining.
Yeah.
The giant killer they call Lorenzo. I appreciate the nickname. I do, because he doesn't look like your prototypical heavyweight boxer. He just doesn't. He's a little bit smaller, undersized. He's not this Adonis-looking figure, you know what I mean? But he fights his butt off. He knows how to fight. He's slick. He's sly. He does a lot of good stuff. He won a decision. It was a very good fight, though. Close fight. The co-main event, I believe, which was Kevin Brown, who we talked about on the lead-up. He fought a guy who is deaf. I've never been a part of this. Julian Smith was his name. 6'1", super light, 140 pounders. He was deaf. And he fought in, I believe it was a WBA eliminator or a WBA like top 10 fight for a ranking. But Kevin Brown won that fight 96-94 twice, 98-92. The 96-92 or the 96-94 was correct. That's how close that fight was. A 96-94 fight means you're one round away from being a draw. That fight, although I did think Kevin won, was super close, super competitive. I was watching the entire time, kind of on the edge of my seat, like, oh my gosh, like this guy's. I'm used to Kevin Brown like blowing people out. You know what I mean? And to give you a little perspective, Kevin Brown's 2-0 going into that fight, and he's fighting a 10-rounder for a world ranking.
Yeah,
phenomenal. Then the main event, Ashton Sylvie, who is 8-0 with 8 knockouts, had some high expectations going into this fight, fighting Adam Kapenga. Was a super competitive fight. Went the distance though. First time Sylvie went the distance. Looked phenomenal.
Well, that's good.
The kid is 19 years old, already 8-0.
Jeez.
Phenomenal. And the crowd loved it. I know that it was on DAZN Boxing, which is a global network.
And that's the MVP. That's an MVP guy, right?
Yep. He's one of the.
That was like their second signee or whatever.
He's from California, and a lot of people came all the way from California to watch this kid.
Wow.
So they showed out for this kid from California. So it was kind of cool. Jake Paul's doing a lot of big things. Jake Paul gave Amanda Serrano her first biggest payday, paid her $500,000 for her first fight, okay, under MVP Promotions, his promotion company. Jake Paul signing these young people now and building them up. So whatever you want to say about Jake Paul, fair enough, but you better tell the good stuff too. Meaning he does a lot of good stuff too.
Here's the
Call
thing.
him for his bad stuff. I'm cool with that.
Here's the thing.
But this guy does a lot of good
We
stuff.
talk a lot in the business community about disruptors and sector by sector. Boxing needs a disruptor, right? Because you have some of the old guys. I mean, Bob Arum's in his 90s.
Yeah, he's
and over the weekend he was saying some negative things about Eddie Hearn, and Eddie Hearn had some backlash comments to say. I think DAZN's as close as you get to kind of that disruptor sort of mentality in the boxing realm.
DAZN's an app.
Yeah,
It's not your television.
you know, but some of these older hats like PBC and all those, they're dinosaurs.
Bob Arum is 91 years old.
Amazing. No wonder he was falling asleep, amongst other reasons, in the Haney-Lomachenko fight.
No wonder he fell asleep at the wheel with Terence Crawford fighting Errol Spence as well.
Tell you what. So I think MVP, and that's Most Valuable Promotions, they're doing a great thing. It's not just Jake Paul, but he's a figurehead of that. He has the right people running that organization.
And he's there. I don't even know if he's just a figurehead because he's there. He was in the locker room.
I think
he was
just
ringside.
Just putting the series together, however they're structuring this, I don't know if it's every other week, every month, whatever they're doing, is nice. I mean, it's kind of like an old callback to the old Friday Night Fights concept.
I like it. And you know what I've learned too is, for my life and my schedule, that Friday night's good because it gives me a whole day Saturday to recoup. And then Sunday, I'm good. But when they have those fights on Saturday,
it's tough.
I'm recouping all day Sunday. I go right back to work on Monday. And I'm like, oh, that's a little rough. I need a little extra time being there.
And talking about extra time, this weekend is a very important weekend, Trav, because tomorrow, though you're catching this on Wednesday, so a couple of days ago was Memorial Day, the day that we celebrate those that have fallen in the line of duty, here in the States, those heroes that put the ultimate sacrifice forth for our freedoms for everything, not just, what we do on a daily basis, but freedom of expression, religion, all the such. So here at Wayne and with Travis Hartman, we do give props and honor to those that have fallen in the line of duty here, serving their country, the ultimate sacrifice. Happy Memorial Day to them, but we honor your sacrifice by drinking bourbon today on our show.
Hey, thank you to the troops for sure. They allow us to do things like
yes.
this. We do. We don't honor them enough. We don't honor our veterans enough. We don't honor those people that passed away enough. We don't honor the people that really have fought and shed blood for this country. And we do appreciate them more than we could even say
Absolutely.
on this podcast. This podcast isn't even enough to say that, but we do. We appreciate you guys.
So we can travel. Let's just run a quick 5-minute rundown because there's a lot of stuff that happened this weekend, not just locally and not just the announcement of Terence Crawford, Spence Jr., but overseas, over across the pond. There are some good fights going on this weekend. Give a quick couple-minute rundown of what was going on, action outside of the States, outside of our borders here.
I want to do like a breathe in, do like the fastest minute boxing, but I can't do that. So I'll try to get it in like 2 minutes probably.
Okay.
But we had Lee Wood rematching. He avenged his KO loss to Mauricio Lara. and Lara came in overweight. Wasn't
Got
capable to win the title.
Was pulled. The title was pulled from him.
Yes,
Actually,
he
yeah.
lost it at the scales. So only Wood could win the fight or win the title, and he won the fight.
Yep.
Unanimous decision. Awesome. Avenged his loss. Was a good fight. Chris Smith, a weighing in with Travis Hartman alumnus, also our very first ever on the show, at least, world champion.
Yeah.
This guy won the cruiserweight world title over. The WBO cruiserweight title over Lawrence Okolie, which is a cool story because Okolie and Chris Billum used to be teammates.
Yeah.
And they were trained by the same guy, Shane McGuigan.
Yep.
Trained in the same gym, sparred together, all of that. So Chris Billum Smith was 18-1, 12 KOs. Lawrence Okolie is now 19-1, 14 KOs. But Chris Billum Smith, congratulations.
Emotional victory. If you haven't heard the speech after the fight, excellent stuff. Praying for your mom, buddy. And, kudos to you. Hats off to you. Congratulations on that WBO title.
As a recent father as well, I appreciate him because today he was posting videos of him
Yeah.
feeding his kid.
Yep.
I love it. He's a family guy. It's awesome.
He's a dude.
A guy you haven't heard for a while, Jack Catterall, who had that really close decision with Josh Taylor where you guys didn't agree with me, but I thought that he actually lost that fight against Josh Taylor, but a lot of people thought he won. Regardless, that was 15 months ago. Jack Catterall won a 10-round unanimous decision on the Lara Wood undercard. He was a co-main event. So that fight happened. Unfortunately, my boy, I say my boy because I kind of like this guy. I liked him from the amateurs when he was in the Olympics and he flipped off everybody because he got robbed. Mick Conlon was his name. He got knocked out. Again.
Yeah.
And this is why I say again is because the first knockout wasn't even a devastating looking punch. It wasn't. And I watched it back so many different times and just was like, I don't understand what happened there. But he got knocked out the first one. The second one, different guy. It was Lopez. What's this guy's name? His name is Luis Alberto Lopez. 28-2, 16 knockouts. So not really a crazy big knockout puncher. Knocked out Mick Conlon in another weird kind of like, it was a good punch. I'm not saying it wasn't a good punch. And I feel like I can talk about this because I've been in the ring and I've took some really good punches. It didn't look like the punch that should knock out a normal person or an athlete like Mick Conlon. I look at Mick Conlon as he's a world champion type of level guy, and he got knocked out. So he's okay now, but the reason I bring it up is because I love boxing, but at some point, I don't care your age. Age doesn't matter. I'm not saying age because he's young
right.
still. Age doesn't matter. You're not reacting to punches like you should.
Yeah.
Okay? So Mick Conlon, phenomenal career, brother. I love you. I respect everything you've done, stepping in the ring every single time. Something's off because you shouldn't be getting knocked out. And what I mean by that is health-wise. Something's off. You don't get knocked out like that. And these are we're talking about lower weight classes too.
Yeah.
I can't remember his weight, but it's under 130, I believe. It's the featherweight division. It's 126. These guys, I don't want to say they don't hit hard because they do 100%. I mean, Lomachenko came from that weight class. They hit hard, but
not a devastating
like
fashion.
that,
Yeah.
I'm a little worried. So get checked out. Figure that out. If you get a clean bill of health from all the doctors around you, then you know what? Go for it. But I think something's off. I'm a boxer. I know better. Something is off, brother. And I don't know what's going on with that, but definitely get that looked at. I don't know if I missed any fights over the weekend that happened. But
those are kind of the big ones. Trust me, there's a lot of action, folks. There's a lot of shows going on. And I mentioned overseas, but there's other stuff going on locally too.
About that, August 5th.
Yeah, so we have a lot of time to talk about that one, but it was a stacked weekend overall. Enjoyable weekend for boxing fans, especially if you have a DAZN app and service. I think you could have caught a lot of that stuff overseas midday. But weekend, Trav, it's fun. We're in a fun time right now. So fun. We're in a fun matchmaking environment. We're starting to hear guys, hem and haw and start talking about stuff. You got our heavyweight champ talking about this guy and that guy and whatever. I'm kind of tired of hearing about him talking.
You got Ryan Garcia fighting Rolly now.
That could possibly happen.
Rolly talked his way into another fight.
I tell you what, that guy with the immaculate voice, he just continues to stay there. Weekend Trav. I digress.
Yes,
a lot of stuff. Weekend Trav, you've been on fire tonight. On fire. This episode drops on Wednesday, back at 7:15, because this is the #1 beers, bourbon, and boxing podcast shot in Orlando, Florida, specifically Laureate Park, specifically in a boxing gym on the second floor of said boxing gym and the TH Boxing Facility podcast room, shot on a Sunday or Monday tonight, being Sunday, dropping on
Wednesday morning at 7:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Number one in the world. In the world. Number one. In that category.
Number one.
Yeah.
We're growing.
That very specific
pace.
Demographic. Percentage-wise, we are. And we appreciate all of you. If you have yet to subscribe below, please do so. We ask kindly all the time. We used to ask mean in a mean fashion where he would show up to your door and punch you in the stomach and stuff like that. But now we're just saying, hey, please follow us, like our stuff. And if you have some comments about what we missed or things that we should, another point of view, comment below on these videos on YouTube, Rumble, or if you're listening to the audio podcast on the different apps, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Amazon Alexa, all the like. We are out there in all sorts of formats, so we can Trav. I'm going to throw final thoughts to you because this was a jam-packed episode. We had a lot to talk about in a short period of time. Final thoughts.
I mean, I guess because of our bourbon of choice today is Old Soul High Rye. I'm going to go with a mature Old Soul thought is sometimes we can change our opinions of people based on the growth that you've had. So I am leaving that open. I'm not saying my complete opinion has changed of Edgar Berlanga or Antonio Tarver. I'm just saying that I am open now for a little bit of growth and conversation to change that perception. I
feel like there are two budding bromances alive and well right now after this past weekend.
I mean, we'll see. I do have cell phone numbers of these guys now, so I don't want to be the first to reach out though. I can't do that. We got to play it still piece by piece.
You got to be the first one, but
hey, you know what?
It's like getting a girl's number. You can't call her the next day,
right? So I gotta play it off. But no, honestly, but seriously though, I do think that we do all get older. Things happen for whatever reason. But I do want to have Antonio Tarver on the show and tell him that story and see what he says. Because I'll tell it to him. I don't care. We're both to the point now where we're just like it's better to be honest and a lot easier to be honest. And we don't have to remember things that we've done if you're just honest. You just remember the truth and you're good, right? Yeah. So I want to have him on here and just be straight up honest with him. Maybe we both cry and we just get like 1 million views.
If you're really honest, listen, if you're really honest about that, you're going to say, look, dude, it hurt my feelings.
Yeah.
It hurt my feelings.
As a 13-year-old.
And as an immature.
And you knocked my idol out.
And as an immature kid, and then when I was on the card fighting on the same card, I was immature.
HBO pay-per-view.
I was just a hurt child.
I was hurt. Hurt people.
Hurt people. Yeah, that's good.
Except I never hurt him, though.
No.
In my mind, I did.
Man, maybe you'll get, maybe some weeping. Be nice. Weekend Trav. I am so happy to be back in studio. So happy to be back from vacation.
I'm so glad you're back, B-Money.
Yeah, man.
If you can't tell,
I got that tan line right here.
B-Money's got.
Looks good from my headband.
He's happy, though.
I was out on the water. I was
a good tan.
I was hugging stingrays, kissing stingrays. I got photos. I haven't posted them online yet, but the whole family, we had a good time. But it was a long trip.
Put them there. We'll
put
them there.
Yeah. So it was a fun time. So Weekend Trav. Once again, if you have yet to subscribe, please do so below. Thank you to our media partners, TH Boxing, Gulfstream Financial, and IF Enterprises for all your media support. Weekend Trav. That's it. We're gonna close up shop.
That's it, bro.
Closing up. Put a bow on it.
Hold your butts.
Hold on to your butts. Samuel L. Jackson, Jurassic Park. That over there is Weekend Trav.
That there is B-Money, a.k.a. producer, a.k.a. I'm super happy to have him back, but he really missed out on some really good fights.
And it's time to lose some weight after that cruise.
Let's get it.
Yes! God bless.